a common question we get is, how can I increase my SAT score as quickly as possible? Well, it's not easy to do, but it's not impossible. Ideally, you're not going to be in a situation where you are going to have to cram and take the test in a couple of days. But if you are in that situation, just know that it's not impossible, and the number one thing to do is don't panic. Okay, you just have to accept it for what it is. You're constrained on time. You're just going to have to deal with it and give you your best shot for the test. So some real tips though. So if we look at the English portion of the test, there are two different tests in that section. There's the reading comprehension section, part 1, and then there's the language part, which is test 2, part 2 of the test. If your reading and your language are about on the same level, I would say focus on language. Okay, because it's going to be much easier to improve your language score than it is to improve your reading comprehension score. Okay, it's going to be very difficult to become a very good reader in a short amount of time. But you can learn the tricks and the different types of questions that are asked on the language section and raise that score relatively quickly with a good amount of work, of course. So focus on the language section. Go over the rules for grammar, usage and expression, and punctuation that's specifically tested on the test. Okay, then if you look at the math portion of the test, there are 2 tests also. There's test 3 and test 4, section 3 and section 4 on the test. I would just say take it. Take both sections and then just see where you stand. You know, ideally when you take it, you're going to get some very good feedback as far as your strengths, weaknesses. So on our platform, for example, we give very detailed feedback as far as how you did on specific topics. Not just very general topics, but very specific, like did you do well in functions, questions that involve imaginary numbers, solving for a variable in terms of another variable, and so on. Okay, and that's very important because you really want to pinpoint what your weaknesses are so you could practice those specific questions. Okay, but that's not enough. So let's say you took the practice test and you see that you got a 0% on questions that involve imaginary numbers. Okay, that's bad, right? Like 0 is bad. But that doesn't mean you should spend all of your time focusing on questions that involve imaginary numbers. Why? Because on the SAT, there's probably only going to be one question that involves imaginary numbers. So if you go from 0% up to 100%, you're only going to increase your SAT score by one question. So it's very important to know not only how well you did on each topic, but how much room there is to improve for each of those topics. All right, so hopefully this is somewhat helpful to you. If you're preparing for the SAT in a short amount of time, I wish you the best of luck. If you're preparing like way in advance, I wish you luck also. But hopefully you found this helpful, and good luck on the test.